Okay, I'm back again. We're still the 2nd of February and we're still technically in winter. However, we're going to do a little bit of spring cleaning. And so, as you know, bees are very clean animals. They like to keep the home nice and clean. So they do most of the cleaning all by themselves. But what we're going to do today is clean the bottom board. Because there can be buildup of propolis and other things, and after winter where they might have been in a bit of humid spot and so on like that, it's good to give them a fresh start. Now, there's two ways of doing that. I've got the luxury of having some spare bottom boards, so I get one ready, cleaned up. I'm going to lift off the top of the brood box. I've already declipped the clips that hold the brood box to the plateau and baseboard, and so I'm basically going to smoke the bees, pick it up, put it over, and then take away the dirty one and move it back into position. So it's heavy work. Take care of your backs. If you can be two, much better. That's not possible for me today. So it's a good job to do, obviously, when it's just one box and you don't have already a super on or anything else, which is why I'm attacking it now. The other reason why I like to do it, besides making sure it's all nice and clean, is that I'm going to start testing for Varroa. And the way I test for that is with a white sheet which has been greased with a little bit of odorless animal fat. And when the hive is in place, when the box is in place, you slide that in the entranceway and leave it there. That way, any Varroa that fall off the bees fall onto the sticky surface of the white, and then when I take it out 24 hours later, I can count how many Varroa there are on there. So that's why it has to be a little bit sticky. This technique of cleaning the baseboard, that's for hives that have a baseboard that's wooden. The flow hives have usually got a grill, and so any mess that they make falls through to a bottom board underneath the grill, which captures it. So this isn't really needed, but obviously it's a good idea to make sure that capting tray is kept nice and clean, no mold and so on, and you can obviously clean that off and even wax it a bit, grease it a bit, so that the counting of Varroa is much more precise. And any that drop off, obviously, that are alive, don't have the possibility for crawling back up. So I'm going to be a little bit cheeky. In the future, I'll be putting this in through the entrance once the hive is in place, but today, already greased, I'm going to put it there ready so that I can simply just put the bees over on top. So for this technique, I am going to pull up the front grill, the winter grill, make sure any of the, and you can see that behind where I blocked off the hive a little bit, there's quite a little bit of bee poop that the bees aren't able to clean out easily. That's one of the other reasons why it's good to be able to give them a clean. Now I do need to give them a bit of a smoke to make sure that there's a minimum of them sitting on the baseboard. And as usual, my smoker isn't very well alight, so I'm just going to fire that back up. Okay. Now, although it's pretty much borderline as to temperature for inspecting inside the hive, But as you know, heat rises. So by me doing this operation, the hive won't lose much heat because there's the heat of the hive is staying in the box and I'm transferring over. Now, obviously, if you don't have the luxury of a second baseboard, which you can have ready to transfer them over, which will be the case of most of you. The other technique would be where it's a two-step process. You have a couple of baton sticks that you put across. When you put the baseboard onto those sticks, then the bees can still get in. They're not being squashed if you put it onto a flat surface, and so on. And then you clean the baseboard, and then you put the bees back onto it, the box back onto it. So two-step process, a little bit longer, a little bit more heat lost. So you need to make sure that it's a nice warm day. Okay, so I've smoked the bees, and now the next step is the heavy step. So we crack it open there, make sure, because there's a bit of propolis that's going to stick. Okay, so that's ready to be moved over. 1, 2, 3, over we go. Place it down nice and gently. Make sure it's nice and square on there. Obviously there's some confused bees there. We attach the baseboard back up. I can slide it back over into position, so all those bees that are waiting outside going, what happened to the hive? They can now go inside. They might not particularly be happy with the white greasy stuff on the bottom. So that's the first step. Now I've got my little brush here. These bees are obviously going to be a little bit lost. You can see there's quite a lot of mess on the baseboard. I'm just going to give these bees a gentle nudge out of the way so they can find their way back into the hive. Okay, and off you go. I'll take that over here to where I'm going to clean it. And I'll bring you with me so you can check out on that. So as you can see, they're hovering around a little bit, going a bit sticky, but it's not much more problematic than that. Okay, so here we have our baseboard. Really quite messy here, but nothing terrible. There doesn't seem to be much. There's no mold or anything like that. So other than being a little bit messy, it's quite clean. Nothing to be worried about anyway. I've got a tool like this, which is quite good. First of all, just give it a bit of a scrape off. See a little bit of moisture around the corners here, simply due to the condensation of the bees, and that's where the mold can build up. Also around the edges, where all that poop has been sitting, that's where that's where the mold builds up. So first give it a nice good scrape down, and then we're going to use the blowtorch to really clean it up and basically sterilize it. So we can give it a, and if there's any deposits of propolis or anything like that, sometimes there's big lumps of it, maybe an insect flew in and they killed it and then put propolis over it to clean it up. And so around the edges it's really important, and all the cracks. The 2 vent holes as well. Sometimes they're completely have been completely glued up with propolis. The bees have done that, and it might be to stop. Maybe there were ants that were getting in through there, and so they stuck up those holes. So this gives us a chance to sort of clean them out again. And so first of all, we give it a nice good run over with the blowtorch, right over everything. Sorry, it's a bit noisy. It might be hard to hear me at the same time. We can use our hive tool to clean off the edges. They're good for the smaller sections there. And it's nice and strong, so we can use that right in the corner. See all that gunk that we're able to get rid of. The entrance here, quite a bit of and we give it a good scrape across the entire board, getting up any propolis deposits. See, that's you can see it's been stuck up here with propolis in there, these vent holes. So one of the biggest dangers, bees don't like. They can support lots of things. They can support cold and so on, but they really do not like humidity, mold, and so on. I mean, who does? I mean, who wants to sleep in a moldy room, moldy bed, all sorts of ugly things in there. So, which is why we choose a spot which is nice and ventilated, not too windy, but ventilated, not humid and wet and damp and so on. Get sun at least for part of the day, if not all of the day, and then we do this bit of spring cleaning once a year to make sure that everything's. So as you can see, there's a bit of I'll give that a little bit of a once over again. Blowtorch. There can be eggs of wax moth in the creases and little cracks of hives, and waiting to be hatched when it gets warmer. So it also helps to get out. So I think that's looking pretty nice. So, okay, so if I didn't have a second board, now it would be time to put that one back with the bees. But in fact, what I'm doing is this will now get to be the board for the next hive that I'm going to clean off. So basically I alternate between swapping the hive over and cleaning off, and work my way around the apiary doing that. Okay, that's pretty good. So that's ready for the next hive. What else we've got? I'm going to bring you back over to this hive here that we just cleaned off. See, things looking a lot more calm down. Don't forget to put that down, the winter guard there in front. That's also got the little half of the hive is still closed, and so this hive here, they've totally finished the candy. Been hungry girls. You can see that there. And you might be able to see as well that not only is it finished, but they've actually started to fill it up with wax. Now, you might be wondering why they're doing that, and that's because there's new bees being born, and young bees make wax, and it's sort of like almost like a mead. And so, as there's not much room inside the hive for them to build because all the frames are already pulled, they'll do it in this space that they've created. So that's what they're doing here, and once again, my lighter is undone. So before I do that, lighters are pretty hard to keep alight if you're not pumping them with air. So if you've got a helper, one of the best jobs that they can do is just keep a bit of smoke pumping, and we'll pass it over to you when you need smoke. If you're like me and you put it down and then you don't use it for 5 minutes, well, it's not unusual that it will go out, especially at the beginning. Once it gets really nice and hot, then it's hard almost to get it, put it out. But anyway, so bit of smoke here. Check those girls out. Very nice little tree we've got there. Now, it is a little bit like a rather warm day. I'm going to have a little cheeky peek inside on the edges, just to sort of see what kind of stores they have of their own. Good to have an idea. So here, I'm just going to pull this back a little bit. Now, when you haven't been looking inside a hive much, then it is going to be pretty well stuck up. With propolis, so it might be a little bit hard to pry. Pry it out, but it's not too bad. Okay, I can already feel by the weight it's pretty light, but there's bees working on it. So I can see on this side, if you can see with the light, there's nectar and pollen. So they're filling that up with new stalls. Honey from last winter's gone, and they're creating more. On the next frame over, I can see that there's actually honey capped. I don't want to bother these girls too much. So anyway, things are going reasonably well. They have got some stalls, but as I said before, a nice active hive at this time of year is is using lots of energy, because there's the nights are still very cold, and we have no idea what the weather is going to do. for us in the next few weeks. We're 2nd of February here. We could end up having a very cold snap. After all, winter holidays are coming up. I'm going to pull this plastic off just to be able to take this little chateau of new wax out of the way. I'm actually going to swap over the plastic upside down. I noticed that in the corner over here, a little bit of mold, which is normal in winter. So, and on this side where the candy was, there's a bit of sugar. So there's absolutely no harm in giving that a little bit of a clean up. We'll be doing a nice clean up, proper clean up when it's warmer during the day. I'm just a little bit of mess there on the edges. That's a bit of paper actually, because this hive was joined with another one. And sum up, it went cleanless. Ooh, just got a whiff of bananas there, so it means the girls have had enough of me poking around inside. So I'm quickly going to put things back together. Plastic turned around, and this is a new gizmo I've picked up from the shop the other day when I bought candy. It's got two sides, one to do a little bit of a hole to take the plastic off. So take it off like that, whatever, and bend it over. Then you stick it in to the candy, so it actually makes it easier to put it on without squashing a load of these, and giving them a little bit of an easier, more controlled access. Oops, you. Okay, everybody out, and we put back on the base, the cover, which I started to use. Oh. And there we go, already. Ready, that one I need to make sure not to forget to do the clips back up. But a little bit later, in a few more weeks, maybe when it's warmer, I'll give her a proper clean on the top of those frames, do a proper inspection below to see where we are with in terms of brood, and when it's ready to put honey super on top. That will be a little way down the track. But there you go, a bit of spring cleaning. That's how it's done. Very important to have everything you need in advance, organised, clear in your head what you're going to do, what the steps are, because as I said, you know, the weather's still cool. You don't want to be fluffing around and with the bees getting chilled or angry. But this hive seems to be going quite nicely, and now I've just got the rest to do. A few days to do it in though.